This program is brought to you by friends and partners of Shyju Mathew and Revive Nations.
Is something that you have to be very aware about. Satan will never come and force you to eat an apple. He will never force you to, because Satan knows that in order for it to be sin, it has to be willful. So that means the way he's able to do it is if he can entice you. Entice you. That is why the Bible talks about when you are enticed to your temptation, it then conceives and becomes sin. So there is a a transition where desire that is human, desire that makes you what? Human. Now it is no more in the realm of desire. It has now conceived into sin.
Prophet is in James chapter 1, verse 14. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire.
Okay, so the first thing comes what? Desire. So now the desire is what is capable of luring you. Desire. What is desire? Your thought world. Your thought world. So your thought world can now start tempting you. Your thought world can now start dragging you. Your thought world can now entice you. Entice to make you feel attracted to it. So that leads to what?
And enticed by his own desire, then desire, verse 15, then desire, when it is conceived, gives birth to sin.
Okay. So that means desire starts luring you, starts attracting you, starts dragging you. So you've allowed this thought world an extended period of time. You've dwelled and spiraled and spiraled and thought and dwelled. Now this is the same thing that happens when somebody is in a certain guilt. Okay? If you start entertaining guilt and condemnation, feeling unworthy, feeling unwanted, feeling rejected, feeling abandoned, those emotions can now easily be hijacked by demons. So before Satan can hijack you, he will have to sow a thought that you are abandoned. So desire, there must be an opposite side of it, which is also guilt. Let me break it down for you. When you look at Absalom, there is a moment he will meet people at the gate. And he'll go and say, oh, David does not have time for you. The king does not have time for you. Now he does that over and over and again. He goes, puts his hand around and say, let me be your friend. Look at me, I'm available. But look at the king has no time for you. So over and over and over again, there is a feeling of, I am feeding you, but the king has no time to feed you. So that feeling of what? Abandonment starts developing, starts multiplying. Now you start feeling unwanted. You start feeling what? When somebody starts feeling unwanted, then the enemy can come in and encourage them to take matters into their own hands. When you feel unwanted, you say, okay, if I am unwanted, I have thought through that, it leads to rebellion. And I'm showing you how desire turns to sin. How does something so nice turn to something so bad? Do you know you can't pray for your desire to go? Because if you start saying, Lord, take away all my desires towards men. I hate men. Men are pigs. You will never be married. Like you're following us, yeah, but all these men are just ogling at me. They're just staring at me. Do you know, in order for that guy to stare at you, is what will qualify for you to say, okay, he desires me and my desire is to him. But if you're binding every man, is somebody understanding what I'm saying? It is the desire that God placed in them that causes good to come out of. Because God put it that when God listen, when God created Adam and he was hoping you will be attracted to that. But you're too holy. You are on 40 days on the mountain killing it. Desire is not evil. Okay? But what happens, how does it entice you is the question. How does desire entice you? So that means that when God created it, there was a mechanism he put inside of you. He made women beautiful. So here you are, you feel so holy that you want to wear a burqa and walk around. Hoodies, I don't want anyone to relax. Tell your neighbor, relax. You were made to be beautiful. It's religion that says, no. You need it, okay? You get it, right? Yes. Don't hesitate on dressing well, being beautiful. And you can still do it modestly and still appreciate how God created your body. That is why in Peter, the Bible talks about how partaking of the divine nature. There is a moment where you partake of the divine nature so that you can starve the lust. So that means that it's the same if you partake of the natural order. If you find it.
Verse 3. His divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him who called us to his own glory and excellence.
Okay, let's break this down quickly. His divine power has granted all things that pertain to life and godliness. Everything about life and godliness is being granted to us by the divine power. Through
the knowledge of him who called us to his own glory and excellence.
So the knowledge of Jesus, let me just put it in a way that you understand. The knowledge of Jesus is the divine power that grants you grace to understand everything about life and godliness. Are you following? Yes. So the knowledge, the more you understand about Jesus, the heart of Jesus, the mercy of Jesus, the way Jesus sees you, the way Jesus understands you, the way Jesus made you, the way Jesus is king, the way Jesus has dominion over everything, the way Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. The more you understand about this Jesus, that knowledge becomes power. So if somebody asks, where is the scepter of power? Right there. The knowledge of Jesus becomes the scepter of power. Now go to verse 4.
By which.
By which. So anytime a verse starts off by which, you will have to always ask by what. You can't just read a verse, you have to have the context. Okay, now we know when it says by which, what is he talking about? The knowledge of Jesus that is giving us the divine power to solve everything regarding life and now that knowledge, that power is yours. Okay, now read that.
By which he has granted to us his precious and very great promises.
Oof. Child of God, whether you know it or not, you have been granted great promises. Not just great. Not just great. What does it say? Precious and
very great promises.
Very great promises are yours. Turn to your neighbor and say, precious and very great promises are waiting for you. Did you tell them that? Tell the other neighbor, precious and very great promises are waiting for you. For what?
So that through them you may become partakers of the divine nature.
Oh, so the moment you increase in your knowledge, what increases? Precious and very great promises increases. Let's backtrack. The knowledge of Jesus is the scepter of power that will give you grace to solve life issues, through which you are receiving precious and very great promises. Now, so
through them you may become partakers of the divine nature.
This is what will prove that you are partaking of divine nature. The knowledge of Jesus that gives you the scepter of power to solve lives and to claim the promises of God. That is what is the proof that you are partaking of the divine nature. Some of you didn't get it. Let me go slow one more time. The divine nature. Okay, partaking of the divine nature means to have the knowledge of Jesus. I'm not talking about theology. I'm talking about experiential knowledge. Understand that you can know the book and know the God of the book. It's two different knowledge. You knowing Jesus, that is why Paul said that I may know him more. Is he saying I want to read more epistles? Because he's the one that is going to be writing it. So that knowledge of Jesus is going to give you the scepter of power by which you can solve life and things regarding life and godliness, which then when you solve those things about life and godliness, you will enter into very great and precious promises. Don't forget this formula. So if somebody asks you, how come you have not entered into very great and precious promises, you should have an answer. How do I enter into my promised land? How do I enter into my promises? God-given promises. It has to be this formula. That somewhere my system is missing an information about Jesus, which is the key of power that will unlock my promises. So you want your promises very great and precious. Everybody say very great and precious promise. You've got everyone laying hands, but the amount of information inside your spirit of knowing Jesus more is so less. And therefore, you don't have the power needed to unlock the doors. And that very great promises, because there is a leak in your information system. There is a knowledge about your power that is missing. So when you hear such stories about somebody listening to our app and finding exponential strength and power and authority, you know how. Because the great promises are being unlocked. How? Jesus more. When you know what He likes, when He knows what He doesn't like, when you renew your mind with new understanding, you start entering into new zones that you have never entered before. 2026, may the scepter of power be in your hands. So, very safely we can conclude that the scepter of power is the knowledge of Jesus. Go on, please.
Prophet, so that through them you may become partakers of the divine nature.
Through them you become partakers of the
divine nature.
So you become partaker of the divine nature the more you have the knowledge and understanding of Jesus Christ. So you eat. How do you become the partaker of the divine nature? What is the divine nature? When Jesus said, you are gods. The God zone. How do you become partaker of that? The more you understand Jesus, you're eating Jesus. The more you eat the word, the more that information comes. You're partaker. So what happens is that your spirit man becomes strong. That becomes the scepter of power. So now, Zerubbabel, oh, who art thou, you mountain that stands before Zerubbabel? Because there is a word. He's partaking of divine nature. So now any mountain standing before you shall become a plain. Don't worry about the attacks in your workplace. Don't worry about your attacks over your education. That mountain is becoming a plain this day. The more you understand about Jesus, the more solutions begin to follow. You have to come to a place where you're no more terrified about your problem, but you just know very great promises are about to come to pass. I wish you could hear the word of the Lord. I prophesy to you very great promises. Receive a good news. 30 seconds. All the Zerubbabels in this room begin to pray in the spirit. Who art thou, you mountain?
Thank you for watching Revive Nations with Shyju Mathew. Subscribe to the Revive Nations YouTube channel to listen to life-changing prophetic sermons. These full sermons are now available to you at the tip of your finger. Download the Shyju Mathew app on iOS and Android to access the full sermon library. Bonus content. Enjoy the exclusive Mentorship Gold teachings for pastors and leaders. Follow Prophet Shyju on Instagram for more information and stay up to date when we visit a city near you.
Many of us love Jesus by our words, Facebook posts, and scripture quotes. But when God wanted to show us how much He loved us, He gave up His only begotten Son. He is not looking for part-time Christians, nor a portion of surrender or a fraction of obedience. He is waiting for us to empty ourselves. He is not asking us for some things. He is asking us for everything. And Jesus is the only person who has the right to ask us for everything because He gave us everything.
Unlock a revolutionary way to connect with God through the Pray Now app. Transform your prayer experience by seamlessly recording your prayer requests, thoughts, and moments of gratitude. As a companion on your spiritual journey, chart your daily walk with God in a deeply personal and meaningful way. Join a global community of believers by downloading Pray Now on your iOS and Android devices.
Thank you for being part of this end-time Jesus journey. Your partnership with Revive Nations allows us to reach nations with passionate, prophetic, and powerful word from the Lord. If you have been blessed, would you consider giving to this ministry by visiting revivenations.tv? Enjoy hundreds of resources in multiple languages from Prophet Shyju and Shyju Mathew while visiting revivenations.org. Connect with us on your favorite social media. Distance is not a barrier to God. ReviveNations.tv is now open to live participation to our services. Sign up on www.revivenations.tv to be notified.